Happy May the 4th. And on this Star Wars Day for 2025, we are jumping away from some of our normal coverage of the empire that is the United States, political news, current events, things like that, and going into a galaxy far, far away. And we're talking about this article from USA Today, where they ranked 75 of the best Star Wars characters from top to bottom on Star Wars Day. These are all live action characters from all of the series, all of the movies, all of the side things that are in the realm of Disney World right now. Now, this is a pretty comprehensive list, and people that you wouldn't even think get on there, but you have to list 75 names that people can pick out are there. And we start off right now, obviously not going through all 75. We'll give you the top 5 in detail. But for the top 70 or so, it's a long listing of names that you would not think would be there, and you probably wouldn't even guess who was there. We just picked 10 at random of ones that may have made an impact. Starting off with number 74, Captain Phasma, who made no impact, and I said was the least exciting of anything out there. A female stormtrooper, yay, in shiny armor, yay, that got killed pretty dumbly. Yeah, Max Rebo, the leader of the band in for Jabba the Hutt. Jeb Porkins and Wedge Antilles are both there, both rebel pilots. Greedo, who may or may not have shot first. Mon Mothma, who is getting some love in the Andor series in how she got to be where she is, and of course is an icon for the original 3 trilogies. Darth Maul, who was something that of an enigma, something to bring us out of the shadows when we went into the original 3, or the prequels, if you will, and what could happen in the precast. Mace Windu, who we still don't know if he's alive or not, because the actor says he's still alive, so we'll go with that one. C-3PO, who had a running mouth, who basically went through the entire series from top to bottom, being an original droid, if you will, going forward. And Jabba the Hutt, who, of course, is a very, very critical part of Return of the Jedi, a critical part of the change in the guard, if you will, from the Star Wars movies being sort of more lightsaber and kiddish to something that actually meant something, and really made a difference in going into both the prequels and the sequels, making things happen. These are just 10 people from 75 to 6, I guess, that sort of made a difference, and that's kind of how they're ranked there. Now, to get really in detail, the ones you expect are in the top 5, and the reasoning are pretty much obvious. So let's start off with number 5. That is Yoda, the master of all masters, the lovable puppet to begin with, then became a CGI generated badass in the movies, is basically the catalyst of all things. Now, we'll go to Luke literally next as the real point of this series, but do not underestimate this small little character in size and his outtake on everything going forward. He essentially stretched the entire 9 movies. Number 1, sort of existing in the original movies as the head of the Jedi Council. Number 2, emerging in Empire Strikes Back to sort of give us some actual story behind how these magic beings with these light swords came about. And of course, the wisdom carries on and into, of course, the new series, new bits and pieces, as we know that he was not a creature of his own. There are a race of creatures like him with Grogu, or Baby Yoda, now going through the Mandalorian verse. Number 4 today is Luke Skywalker, because there is no Star Wars without Luke Skywalker. Both the prequels, because he's sort of there, and the sequels, because he's sort of there, and of course the trilogy in between, which is the originals, where the hero's journey, and this is the most successful, most commercial packaging of the hero's journey going forward. A young man with a dream to do something big, does something big, and actually saves the world, the universe in his sense, and finds the love, the adventure, and all the family he could never stand going forward, and then goes through the dark times where he has to do it again and have a protege do this. And of course, the origin story, that is him, which is actually the origin story of his father. We'll get to him in a moment. But Luke Skywalker originally just sort of shows up as a guy who's bored and wondering what this life's all about, to find out he's actually the son of a Darth Vader, which is also a shocking thing going forward. There was this large destiny that he was a part of that he had no idea that he was a part of, and almost missed out on it if just for, sheer coincidence. He is the glue to the whole thing, obviously, but there's also other pieces that make this thing actually happen. But without a Luke Skywalker, without a hero to take the journey, we have no Star Wars. Of course, you can also say there's just as much hero or heroine in Leia Organa, Princess Leia, who was a turning point in the actual sequels, and of course going through the original trilogy. I guess because of the times and what's going on, although on the set and in the actual playing, she was just as equal as anybody else. But starting off as the lady with the buns on their head in the white dress and then going to the chain link bikini in the third movie before becoming, General Leia and fighting with the folks on Endor, it was a big stretch to see what she would do. And because, of the times, the 70s, early 80s, it was all about cheesecake, even though she basically took the cake for Empire Strikes Back in running the show inside of that movie. Leia was a key part of the Empire Strikes Back, key part of all the things. And of course, her origin story, her being born at the end of the prequels with the tragic loss of her mother, and of course, Darth Vader turning into Darth Vader, coming out of his Anakin Skywalker phase, and starting the old catalyst thing where Vader knew what was going on all along, but everyone else had to figure it out. Let's go on to the rogue that everyone loves or everyone hates based on what side you're on and who you owe money to. A blaster gun, a smirk, and a big tall Wookiee to back him up. Questionable morals and all the love you can get from the guy. The smuggler named Han Solo, who just shows up as a way of transport, just a way to get from point A to point B, who turns into a rebel general and a force to reckon with on the side of good, is an interesting character. But he's the most engaging character of the whole series. Without Han Solo to sort of play both sides in various places, it's hard to get from point A to point B. In fact, he is, as you say, sort of the glue. I've said it a lot. The glue in going into episode 6 to episode 7, essentially having to die so that Kylo Ren could live and go on going forward, being that he is the son of a Jedi, with Jedi powers being Princess Leia, and of course Han Solo, the rogue, who just sort of went rogue because he could not master his powers and was tempted to the dark side early on. And the love story that was the Leia and Han Solo thing all the way through until the very end is timeless. Questionable morals and questionable team up, but of course the love never ends between those two. And without a guy like him, you don't get the Solo movie, which may or may not have done so well in the theaters or maybe people in their complex. But in a lot of cases, as people wanted to expand or re-expand on the Star Wars universe with the Disney buyout of everything, people want to know what's up with Han Solo. People want to know what's up with Lando. Everyone wants to know about Lando. And that having that movie on its own and a little bit of backstory to get to Han to get to where he was great. Movie-wise, not so great. Story-wise, good to foot there. Now, 4 down, which means we're left with the last one. The biggest catalyst, the biggest person, the whole point of the whole movies, if not Luke Skywalker for the hero's journey in 4, 5, and 6, is Darth Vader in 4, 5, and 6, a little bit of 7 and 8, and of course, Anakin Skywalker, the actual catalyst for the story. The whole story begins with the Force Awakening and finding this one child out of the middle of nowhere who had so much Force power in him that he was taken on by a Jedi Master who was a little suspicious, along with the rest of the council, on what would happen with this master and see what would happen. Now, what would turn into a hero's journey of his own, a love story between him and Padma, and of course, him being tempted by Palpatine, the Emperor, and turning to the dark side, eventually being the biggest minion in the Force going forward, and the big battle on the volcano that left him for dead, but reborn, rebuilt as Darth Vader. Anakin Skywalker is a curious character. Starting off purely innocent, purely open, but finding out that in his quest for not so much power, at least not in the beginning, but to maintain control and save his family. He wanted to protect Padma with all practical purposes. He wanted to protect his family, protect the Jedi. And then he got a message from an evil person saying, "Oh no, we're killing them all." And he was like, "Okay, we're doing this." It happened. So in the attempt to try to turn his master, turn his leader, which obviously turned out to the worse for wear for Anakin, he was then turned into a new character. But we didn't know that until 20 years afterwards when he made the prequel movies. Because remember, Star Wars as legend was a set of 9 movies, somewhere 9 stories put together that started off with number 4 because it was the best one, and of course rewritten to the best way for Hollywood, because remember, Han Solo was a green alien before this whole thing started, and Jabba the Hutt was actually a fat dude in the first movie, and they had to reorganize him into, when they did reshoots, and make him a walking, not so fat big tadpole thing. It happened because remember, these are movies. These have to be sold. The stories are not set in stone. These are not autobiographies. These are movie themes going forward. So with that, that's what you have for today. Hopefully you enjoyed your Star Wars Day, your 4th of May, and you enjoyed the article. Check out the link, which is inside of this video, where you can see all 75 articles, all 75 people ranked from 75 to 1 going forward on where they stand. You may be surprised exactly who you see in what movie or what show you see and where they stand. This whole list of folks going. Captain Phasma is only 74, so that means somebody's worse than her. Check it out and let me know what you think about the list today.